Yeah, I pushed the button.
We are live. Yes, yes.
Mine, mine never says it.
Mine
But
does.
anyway,
It's right in the corner. It says live, and it starts on. You don't see a little red box in the corner, live, and it.
mine just said it now.
Ah, okay. Yep.
I think it's a delay on my end. But anyway, welcome everyone to another Facebook Live with Dr. Nelva Bryant. Where it seems like we haven't been here for a while because last month we did three in a row, and
Yes.
then we had a week off, which was last week, and then we are on today. I
Right.
actually missed it when we go without for so long.
It feels like an eternity almost. It's like, yeah, when's the last time we did this? And then trying to remember what did we do, what
Yes.
happened. Uh, but we've been doing a lot, and I'm really actually, to be honest with you, Greta, I'm really excited. I look back. I think we started this October of last year, 2022, and
Yep.
we've got a lot. I mean, we're not in the 20s yet, but I think we've consistently had some really good shows, really
Yes.
good opportunities for our followers to meet people and interact with different folks and say and that's related to animal transportation. Just and the ones I can say I can mark or really bring up is the last few of them that we've had is really just start discussing the regulations for animal transportation. It's extremely important because folks don't realize the transportation of their pet is regulated. And even actually, it's even regulated to the point where if you cross state lines, so say if you're traveling to by car with your pet to South Carolina, I'm technically supposed to have a health certificate for my pet for
Yeah.
travel. But a lot of folks don't realize it, and you jump in the car and you just drive and don't think about that. But technically, you're supposed to have that in place from. I always view health certificates for pets almost like we would with our driver's license. We're not going to leave home without it. And we're not going to travel out of state without it. Definite, right? So if you're traveling with your pet, either by air or domestically by car, um, get a health certificate for them. It's really important. It will kind of clear a lot of questions that potentially could happen. God forbid if there's a incident of wondering if they have their rabies vaccination or anything like that, you have documentation with that. So, but either way, I'm happy for today. We've got Jamie from Be Spotted with us. Anything you want to talk about before we head on with her yet?
Well, I love that you brought up something I didn't even think of. And see, that's what these talks are all about because
Mhm.
you don't know what you don't know. So, for example, you just said we need health certificates just to be in the car. And you're right, we should think of them just like a driver's license for our pet. Because, the other forms of transportation on ground is dogs and cats are allowed on trains,
Mhm.
and let's see, not on buses unless they are service dogs.
Right.
But you still need your health certificate and to be up to date on that. And if you got pulled over by a police officer driving your car, they wouldn't know to ask for, do you have health certificates or anything
No,
like that.
it
So
won't be an instance like that. It will be more like like I said, a situation where, say, God forbid, there's a dog bite or something like that happens, and you need proof that your pet potentially is vaccinated against rabies. Because if you don't show proof, your pet can be in quarantine for a good 10 days for them to determine if does or not. So having all this information ahead of time when you're traveling, again, by car or by air, is extremely important for the safety and well-being of your dog, and just making sure that, like I said, if a situation happens, you've got proof that he's vaccinated. And again, I go back to say, yeah, I view it almost like a license. We don't necessarily have to have, well, we have to have a license to drive, yes, but you think about it, how often do we really, you don't drive down the road and prove everyone that I have a license. It's always assumed. But now if you get pulled over, police officer says license and registration, got to have it. So, and if you don't,
well,
it's an issue.
even today, which I actually didn't know this until I took my daughter to get her license years ago. Back in the day when we were getting licenses, it was just for driving. But now people need a license to just have proof of
Right.
identification. even
Right.
if they don't drive. And I think it's a different type where it doesn't have a driver's license number on it, but they still need a state ID form.
Mhm.
So this is, proof, just like you said. And to your point, it's not even a matter of driving. If I'm going to, let's say I'm visiting you and I'm going to a different dog park and bring my dog to your dog park. Well, if there's a fight there and somebody gets bit, I still need to have proof on me that my dog has been vaccinated.
Yep.
So no, I guess it's safe to say no matter where you go, those papers should be on you all the time.
Definitely, definitely. Just again for safety purposes, and you just never know. And if something happens, a bite happens, it's gonna be important to know. I mean, gosh, imagine a person, you could be minding your own business, not even with your pet, and a dog comes up on you and bites you. And your
Yeah.
question is, hey, is that dog vaccinated? Is that dog, because that's not normal. That shouldn't have happened. And I know of a story of a gentleman told me that his dog got into a fight with another dog. And he said he was trying to break them up. And in the process, of course, he got bit. His dog got really wounded really badly. And the other dog, he said he tried to get information about the other dog from the owners. He's like, is the dog vaccinated? They never gave him an answer. I mean, they were searching. It got to the point where I think they had animal control involved, and they were searching for that dog because they needed proof that the dog was vaccinated. Because if not, guess what? The dog has to go through quarantine, and potentially he has to go through the rabies prophylaxis. So keep your dogs vaccinated, number one. Keep the documentation proof that they're up to date on those vaccines. And if you're traveling, like I said, out of state with your pet, get everything documented on the health certificate prior to travel. It's really important, and it's crucial when you don't think you'll need it, but when you really do, it's important to have. So just do it ahead of time.
Absolutely. Well, it's a good thing. I just want to share with everyone that, this is our only Facebook Live for the month because later on you'll be traveling. Dr. Bryant does different conferences and seminars and things like that where she is a speaker, as well as intending them to learn more that she can bring back to all of us. And in a week or two, I believe, she's going to the USDA conference, and which is a very big one and important one, so that she stays up to date on rules and regulations, and she comes back and shares them with us and stuff like that. Are you looking forward to this conference that's coming up?
I'm really excited about it. I was saying earlier, they actually invited me to speak on a presentation that I gave at a different meeting. The title is I did a review of the DOT reportable events, and DOT is Department of Transportation. Basically it's the animal incidents reports, basically what happened, that they collect, the information they collect, and they've been collecting it since 2005. But what I did is I reviewed all this data, and I'm sorry, I'm not even explaining it properly. I'm sorry. I did a review of the DOT reportable events. And it's insignificant because the airlines have to report these events to DOT. And what are these events? These are going to be animal incidents, where there's an injury, escape, or death during transport by cargo. So the airlines have to report that if that happens within there, they have to report on a monthly basis, and then on a yearly basis, they have to give the number of, say, pets being transported by cargo. So I reviewed it from, like I said, 2005 all the way through 2022. Very good information. So I presented it at the Animal Transportation Association meeting, and I was excited to hear that USDA, for their transportation symposium, they asked me to do the presentation again for this event. And I'm excited about it, but guess what? What do I do? Because my brain keeps going. I decided, I could take the easy way out and just redo the same one, but no, I'm going to improve upon it. I'm going to update it. So I think it's going to be a very good presentation. So yes, I'm very excited about the opportunity and to be able to share the data. Just a side note, the data itself, even though social media and everything makes it seem that transportation by cargo is the worst thing ever, the numbers show that it really isn't as bad as depicted. And true enough, one death is enough, and everything. But let's see, from all those years, say from 2016 to 2022, there were 2.7 million pets transported by cargo, say between a good, say 15 airlines, and there was about 170 incidents during those timeframes. So not as bad as everyone thinks. I did notice a trend with that as far as the animals that were in these incidents. Dogs or cats with pre-existing medical conditions, that's been identified as a cause of death. And pets trying to break out of their crates is the most common cause of the injuries that's happening with them. And to me, it all identifies areas where we can work together with education to try to get pets better prepared. So for the deaths, make sure your pet is medically fit or sound for air travel. Consult with your veterinarian. Go over the medical records. Get a good review. If there's any underlying medical condition with your pet, they're not a good candidate for travel. As far as them breaking out of their crates, get them acclimated to confinement in that crate so they won't try to break out. You can't buy the crate the day before and shove them in there and think they're going to be perfectly fine. They're not going to do that. They're going to try to break out. Majority of them will. So get them acclimated to being confined in it, get them accustomed to travel. And I'm sure Jamie's going to talk about things as far as traveling by car. You got to get your pet accustomed to being in car rides. So you have to get them accustomed to being confined in this crate and knowing that we're going to travel. So all these things are just preparation tips. So
absolutely.
Really appreciate the opportunity to share that with them.
Absolutely. Well, we are bringing on our guest for today, which is Jamie Rudden. Is it Rudden or Rudin?
Rudin.
Rudin. Jamie Rudin. I apologize.
We are so bad about pronouncing people's names.
No. It should be Kane anyway. I got married recently, but I haven't legally changed my name yet. So it's Rudin soon to be Kane.
So what's going to be that's your maiden name? So what's going to be your new name?
Kane.
Well, I don't think we will mess that up.
Yeah, well, people the way it's spelled sometimes pronounce it Keen. So.
You just throw this off then. Okay.
Can't win.
Well, thank you for joining us. Let me read your bio to everyone, and then you'll be officially here. So I'm excited to introduce Jamie Rudin, founder of Bee Spotted and dog mom to Lucy. It all began with her first pet business, Dog Spotted. She created a community of over 10,500 New York City dog parents where they could have access to information from local vets, dog-friendly places, and more. Throughout that journey, she discovered other pet businesses needed guidance on how to best market their pet business like she did with Dog Spotted. That is when she launched Bee Spotted, where she offers her online course, community, and coaching program, Be the Go-To Method, where pet businesses learn the skills to market their own business and grow month over month. Everyone, please help me welcome Jamie Rudden.
Rudin. Thank you.
Rudin. How you doing?
I was going to say Rudin, and I was like, no, say Rudin.
It happens all the time. So don't anymore. And thank you for the lovely introduction. And I'm so excited to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity. So thank you so much.
So Jamie, tell us about yourself. Tell us about you and Bee Spotted.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've done a pretty good job of the overview. But yeah, just to go a little bit deeper with Dog Spotted that I started back in peak COVID, and I was able to bring home my rescue dog, Lucy. I just learned so much from that experience, both helping pet parents and what they needed and what they wanted, as well as from the business side. And a big takeaway was a lot of vets were inundated during this time. And my thing to help them was to get them more clients. And they're like, Jamie, everyone and their mother got a dog. We don't need as much marketing help. Do you know any other vets? And I was like, no. But during those years of building my platform and my business, not only again was I learning more about the pet client side, but I was talking to trainers, walkers, groomers, and pet care businesses. They unfortunately did not have the same success as a vet because a vet is a need, right? Every pet needs a vet. not every pet needs this toy, this walker, this trainer, especially walkers right during COVID, everyone was home. So helping them understand how to position themselves to the needs was critical for these businesses to survive. So through that experience, I was like getting so many inquiries from these other pet businesses. Can you help me? Can you help me? And I'd get on a call with them, but I'd be spending so much time pulling the teeth of the vets. I didn't have all the time in the world to spend on them. And I was like, wait, pull teeth or get clients just coming to me. And that just led me to Be Spotted. So that's kind of the journey. And to that end, what I found a lot is pet businesses are just so passionate about what they do, and they're so good at what they do, but they don't typically have the skill sets or the finances to hire either someone to do their marketing full time or know how to best position themselves, where, as we all know, it's becoming a very popular space to enter because it's the best space in the world, right? Getting to talk about pets, help pets. Mm-hmm. So my MO is always helping empower pet businesses with the right skills to understand their clients, their messaging, talk in their language, understand how to create content easily. I can't tell you how many times I hear people spending hours on Reels, and I'm like, I will teach you how to do it in 5 minutes and come up with unlimited ideas so you could have more time to spend with the dogs. Building community, which you guys have done such a fantastic job around in your niche of travel, as well as actually getting press for your business too, because as you know, that's really important to accelerate credibility. So through that, they learn all those skills, and I'm there to hold their hand every step of the way. So that's kind of what I do, is the overview.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So how long have you been doing this? How many years? You're saying you started right in the middle of COVID with, as far as Dog Spotted, or when did you start?
Yeah, so I had this isn't my first career. I've been working for a long time. I did my very, very first job actually out of school. I did events and marketing for a daycare in the South Street Seaport of Manhattan. And then I ended up doing other marketing positions because the first one didn't pay so well. And I was like, have a dream job or live with my parents forever. So I was dying to get out of the house. So I did marketing and other disciplines for a while. And then that calling of wanting to help pets just kept coming back. So that's why during COVID, I started Dog Spotted. And then I pivoted I was doing marketing help during Dog Spotted on the side as well. So let's call it 3 or 4 years in the pet space, and then the marketing officially a year, but I really was doing it the whole time as well.
Well, I know we'll get the question. So if I heard you correctly, you teach people how to do their own marketing. Mm-hmm. Can someone reach out to you so that you can do the marketing and PR for them?
I typically don't do that. If it's in a particular case, I do have someone on my team that can help with that. But I honestly find in the long term, it's also just better as you as an individual to actually know how marketing works. Because whether you decide to go with me if I manage or someone on my team, or if you hire someone else, I can't tell you how often this is what I hear. I hire a social media person, they just post pictures of dogs. They don't know how to convert to sales. And most social media people, they're working on the jeweler, the plumber, the dentist. We all know this, the pet space is so unique and has its nuances that I wouldn't trust someone to do a pet business unless they had that background as well. So yeah, I'm very much of the mindset, your voice is what's going to help you stand out, whether you're a product or a service. So I'm much more of the mindset of teaching you how to do it. And it won't take long because I teach you to do Reels in 5 minutes, how to create carousels, how to create content that converts, so that marketing's not really that much of an issue anymore.
Okay. Well, let's see. For pet businesses looking to grow their social media, what audience do you have for them?
Do you mean advice? You said
Yes.
Audience, it says advice. So the best advice I would say in terms of wanting to grow quickly, which again, you guys are doing a great job, is collaborations. Find someone in your space that is complementary to what you do. So for example, in this case, Dr. Nelva is a pet expert with travel, which is fantastic. And so many pet businesses are interested in that, as well as pet parents, right? And my business is helping pet businesses grow and thrive. So my audience, because I posted on my stories as well, is going to learn about this podcast and Dr. Nelva, and vice versa. So we're getting access to both audiences. So now with Facebook Lives, I'm not as familiar, but with Instagram, you can now have to three collaborators, including yourself, obviously, which is amazing because now you're leveraging with a total of four audiences. So collaboration is huge, and there's so many ways you can do it. It could be reels, it could be a carousel, it could be a giveaway, it could be a live. And that is probably the fastest. If you were saying what's the fastest way, is collaborate. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are like, well, why would anyone want to collaborate with me? I only have like 100 followers or something like that. Just because you don't have that many followers doesn't mean you don't have something to offer. Mm-hmm. So just position yourself. What advice, what do you bring to the table? How can you help the person you're hoping to work with? And that is the best way to go about it.
To be honest, I love that about I'm new to all this myself, but I love the fact.
I said you're killing it.
I love it because I love the fact of just working with different people, and I like connecting people too. So I might know this person, they're doing something techie, another one over here is doing something techie. So let's bring them together, and it's related to pets, it's related to travel, and I connect them all. And I love that connecting with folks that way. So I call myself the connector. That's what
I love that. Yeah. And I think it's so important and great that you're so open. I'm the same way with you in terms of connecting. I think people that are closed-minded and like, oh, they're going to steal my clients or customers. It's like, there's plenty to go around. There's plenty of pet parents. Like, you're helping someone. Everyone had to start from zero.
Yeah.
Help your community, and it'll pay in dividends.
Absolutely. Especially if we all, in the very end, it's about helping pets live a healthier, happier life. And if we can all share information with each other to that goal, then it makes perfect sense for us all to speak and collaborate and to share.
100%. And there's even monetary benefits too. So for example, people that are in my program, if they refer me another client, I give them $150, right? Because I'm so thankful that they spoke highly of me and brought me a customer that I want to reward them. And there can be different partnerships in that way where you could say, hey, you refer me, I get a percentage or, a discount. You know what I mean? There's so many exchanges as well. So there's a lot of opportunity where maybe you don't help with this. Like, for example, I get a lot of people asking me, do I do paid ads? And I don't. So I can direct someone that I know who does do paid ads, and I can then potentially get a perk from them and vice versa. So it's really a win-win at the end of the day. And there's sometimes monetary benefits too.
Absolutely. How do you grow your authority in the pet space when there's so much competition, which, what we were saying leads right into this question.
Yeah, it's all, I find the easiest way is press. And by press, I'm not saying like you have to go be on TV. It's a big one. It's a great one. But press also helps with SEO. So I just talked about a bunch of different things. So let me start with the kinds of press that I think are the easiest, I guess, or most approachable way to get featured. So if you, let's say, were featured on NASDAQ as the go-to travel expert in pets, right? That would bring a lot of credibility because NASDAQ has a lot of credibility, right? It's that third-party endorsement. So in the program, what I teach is understanding not only how to get press, but also where does it make sense to get press, right? Like, if you are a dog walker, it probably doesn't make sense for you to be in Food Magazine. I'm just making something up, right? Like, you want to be where your audience spends time as well. So the biggest tip I would give when it comes to press, because there's a lot to it. I mean, people get paid thousands and thousands a month just to have a PR agency on retainer with no guarantees to being published, which to me is crazy. Like, people spend $5,000 to $10,000 a month for a PR agency with not a guarantee to get featured. So it's nuts. It's straight. Yeah. So I like teaching pet businesses how they can do it on their own and not spend thousands and thousands a month just to hopefully get featured. So the biggest thing is, similarly, we were talking about with the collaborations, bring something to the table. Every publication that's online, which do online, don't do print because of SEO. Print, people read it and then throw it away, right? Where online, it's ink, it's there forever. Bring something to the table for their audience, right? The audience of, I'm just going to use an example everyone knows, like BuzzFeed versus, again, NASDAQ are very different. The style of the content is different. The audience, the needs, the vibe, the demographic, all of that. So you need to craft your pitch to their audience, and not only their audience as a whole of BuzzFeed, but also to the journalist, right? Who's writing the article? What's the beat, which just means their topic. So understanding all of that and creating a pitch, because these guys get bombarded every day with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pitches. The biggest mistake people make that I see every single time is they make it about themselves, saying, I invented this thing. I've seen people say, like, I won an award at Super Zoo, like, da, 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 da. They don't care. How are you going to get them clicks? How are you going to make them look good in front of their boss? So that's what's really important. So I teach how to do that, how to find the right person, how to write a message that converts. And I, for Dog Spotted, wanted to get press locally in New York. That was really important to me for the reasons of SEO, because if you get a reputable website to link back to your website, that tells Google that you're legit. So it's like da, 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 da. So the more legit websites, the better. And by legit, I mean have been around a long time, have strong visitors, engagement, etc. So my publications, I don't know if you've heard of them, are Time Out and Thrillist, because we both hyper-localized publications in New York and other places. And using trial and error and figuring it out, when I launched a new feature in Dog Spotted, I got featured in both of those within the first week. So it's just a formula template that once you learn it, you're good to go. So yeah.
Fantastic. Now, do you find your formula translates to people who are, there's a lot of dog moms that are trying to be influencers. So do you find that your course is beneficial for them as well?
Yes and no. I think it's definitely more for service and products. I think influencers, right, at the end of the day, they're not selling themselves. They are, but they're trying to get brand deals and sell other products. So my tip for an influencer, if they want to, as I mentioned, like what my system's called is be the go-to, is if you're an influencer, let's say you have a dog that's very famous on Instagram, I would, if I was you, pick a niche within the pet space and so that you can speak to that topic. Because if you're just a dog influencer, it's not that interesting to publications. They want to talk to the experts. That's why Dr. Nelva is an expert on this. And I'm sure you get asked all the time to speak because this is your niche. Like if I had a dog that was famous, and I love you, Lucy, my dog, but she's famous in my heart. But like if I had a dog, for example, I would say our niche is like food testing or like food expert or something, and like give nutritional tips, explore different brands, do reviews. So then you can pitch yourself to food magazines, pet food, and say, hey, I know everything there is to know about food, and my famous dog can get your brand. You know what I mean? So it's pick a niche that you're focusing on if you're an influencer. Don't just be some cute girl like dancing around and pointing and hope for the best, because that's not an angle. You're just like every other, influencer out there. So niche, niche, niche.
No, it's so cool. You make me think. A long time ago, one of my mentors said that you can't be a generalist in anything. You really have to find your niche, as you're saying it, because there's too many. You have to find a niche. So it's perfect. Yeah.
100%. And the pet space is so crowded. Like with that, like if I was to start a pet food company, I would pick a niche, whether maybe it's for senior dogs, maybe it's my food helps have a shiny coat, like focus on that pain point, because those people aren't necessarily just looking for a food. They're looking for maybe a food that solves a problem.
You know what? It's funny. When I was getting When Pets Fly Together, I was trying to, and this is before meeting you, Greta, down here in Georgia, there's, I forget the name of an organization, but it's kind of like it's a volunteer organization. It's free to the public, and they're supposed to guide people through businesses, different business opportunities and everything. And I proposed my idea for pet travel, and I got chewed up by them. They said, there's already pet travel websites and everything going on. What do you bring that's different to the table? And actually, for a minute, I was really discouraged about it until someone told me, they said, yeah, so what? They said, there's a Burger King and there's a McDonald's and there's this restaurant. It could be pet travel, but you're going to give a different take on it. And my take that makes it me a little bit different is I'm a veterinarian.
Right.
I have a different view on things. I'm also working in the airline industry, so I have a different viewpoint with it. So I can sharing pet travel from me is a whole lot different than your other ones because they don't have the inside, eye that I'm sharing.
100 million%. And I will add to that, they're not you. You share information in a certain way. You have your own personality, and no one can duplicate that.
Mhm.
Right? So poo-poo on them. I agree that you should be niche, but just because someone's done it, to your point, like I always like to say, there's Uber, there's Lyft, or for like workout apparel, there's God knows how many brands, right? The key is talking to your audience, solving their problem, and having a message that they can identify with and be like, oh my God, how is Dr. Nelva in my head? This is the problem I had, right? If you can speak to them and their core problem, you got a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what advice would you give someone who wants to start a pet business?
Ooh, good question. I think one, which is what we're just talking about, niche down. Don't just say like, I'm a dog walker. What do you offer? To your point, that's different. Do you do nature hikes? Do you train? Do you try different, I don't know, treats? Do you give in-depth report cards? Like there's so many, like be specific. What do the pet parents care about? So niche is one. Two, I would say start today. Don't wait till tomorrow. I think so many people procrastinate saying, should I do this? Should I do that? What if they don't want to? You're not going to know until you start. So I say figure out the name you want to call your business. And it can be like yours is When Pets Fly, but it's also your name is your brand as well. Like look on Instagram if the handle's available. Look on GoDaddy if the website URL is available. Before you do all that, also look under trademark because you don't want to have the same exact name as someone else and then have to start from scratch again. And then just start creating content. And that's why I encourage people who are just starting also to join my program, because versus having to try and figure out what's right and wrong, I'll tell you from the get-go how to figure out who your audience is, what their pain points are. And that's how you figure it out. It's trial and error. See what content gets them to engage, gets them excited, is shared. But through trial and error, you're going to figure out what it is your clients want, your customers want. I'll be honest, with Be Spotted, my offer was very different the first day I started to today because I've iterated. And I think to that end, I've had friends who started a business and had to close down. And the number one reason was their ego, because they didn't feel comfortable pivoting. They were so certain this was the idea because they knew that they wanted this problem, but you're not the customer, they are. So be open to suggestions, take feedback, and pivot. Now, I'm not saying pivot just every single time someone says something, because then you'll never have a business because you'll just be, but pivot if you keep hearing the same thing. Like I said with Dog Spotted, right? Like the vets, they didn't need the marketing help because everyone, their mother needed a vet, but these other businesses did. So that's why I pivoted, because I kept hearing it time and time again. So be honest with yourself, listen to feedback, take it in, and you'll be successful because you will eventually find that thing that these pet parents want.
Yeah, well, I can tell you this, pivoting, that everyone should be kind of accustomed to pivoting right now with going through COVID. I think so many people had to pivot during that time frame. I mean, I even did it myself. And again, being a vet, thank God I can go back into practice. But we all pivoted. But you can change directions, but still you don't have to lose your focus in what you're doing. So just keep going. Keep going.
Well, to both of your point, the people who did not pivot because of COVID died. And it's
died. Their business died.
Yeah. So it's like when you're an entrepreneur, you have to have a certain level of fluidity to you. So that when things come your way, especially bad things, you can be like the Matrix and, move out the way and stuff like that. But
great visual.
So it's that simple, and it's a lesson as old as time. I mean, the dinosaurs died because they couldn't pivot, except for a couple. I mean, we've got the iguanas and the alligators and stuff like that. A few of our reptiles, they're still around. They pivoted, but those bigger ones, they're gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you got to have that fluidity. I know, like for example, the one thing that I saw with Dr. Bryant early on, where she was just about it was only pets and flying. We pivoted where we incorporated and started opening up our voice to all animals that are transported through flight. That was one way. And then the other way we pivoted was we incorporated all ways that pets can travel. And
Right.
she had me do research. Oh, they can travel by sea. You know, there's a cruise line that can take them, and we started really promoting them. So it went from just flying to all ways that animals can be go through transportation with humans. So the name is still the same, but we're encompassing all ways of travel.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah, and you know what? And I do want to go into a little bit too. Let's pivot a little bit because I want to talk about you and your dog and how you travel with your dog. But also before that, I wanted to bring up as far as you're saying pivoting and expanding further. Yes, I've been doing things with zoos now because zoo animals actually airlines assist with the conservation of zoo animals because they're helping to transport them between different zoos. So transportation of zoo animals, it's really important. We had Rochelle Rogers here. She's a retired zoo register, but she shared information and with us in reference to that. So that's important. I want to also bring up a topic too because traveling, like as we were saying earlier, traveling with your personal pet or say adoption agencies traveling between states through ground transportation. There's a lot of regulation. There's regulations on transporting animals, period, but we've got to make sure they meet the requirements for animal welfare. I know what doesn't really fall for you as far as if a personal pet. I mean, aside from having a health certificate, you should also make sure they're in the right type of container. Hopefully, definitely not on the back of a flatbed truck, going through the streets, but right containment, proper ventilation, the heat and all those things. But if we can pivot and go that way, because I want to hear about you and your doggy and what you do as far as getting everything ready for transport with, and is it he or she? What's her name?
Her name's Lucy.
Yeah. So what do you do with Lucy?
So with Lucy, we haven't flown with her yet. We've really thought about it. I'm sorry?
What is she? Is she small?
Well, what do you consider small?
I don't know. I imagine you with the small dog. I don't know why, but.
Well, I love that you say that. I'm trying to pull up a picture of her. So I grew up with two dogs that were legit 5 pounds. When we were rescuing a dog, my husband and I wanted a 5-pounder. He wanted like a 60, 70. So we compromised to 25. I want a little bit more, but, so here's a cute little picture of her. Hold on.
Very good.
So she's 25 pounds. We did the DNA test. She's a little bit of Boston Terrier, Chihuahua, and then like every other big dog under the sun. So we've traveled with her by Amtrak and we've traveled with her by car. But honestly, car has been the most difficult because when we first got her, it was like pre-COVID. My aunt generously was letting us stay in her house in Woodstock. I'm based in New York City. And so we'd drive because we couldn't take the bus from the city to Woodstock, and there's not really a train that goes there. Bless her little heart. This dog got so car sick the first time we rode with her, and this was our first time really driving with her, so we didn't know. One thing I'll do, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and this probably will make me sound maybe like a crazy dog mom. So whenever we're in the car with my dog, my husband, I don't really drive since I grew up in the city. I didn't get my license until I was 24. And I had probably driven less than 10 times in my life. So cars and me don't really go well. I can sit really well. So he drives, and then since getting the dog, I sit in the back with the dog, and I have her. And I don't know what you'll say if this is good or bad. Sometimes I'll put her in our carrier and then put the seatbelt through the carrier so that it positions.
Good.
Or, well, I don't know if the other one's good. Or I'll have a towel in my lap. God forbid she decides to vomit again, and I have her in my lap. I don't know your thoughts on that. Also with driving, we do CBD. to
Okay.
chill her
I recommend find a way to tether her to the seatbelt or
to the
something.
car. So even if she's in my lap, hook her up in some way.
Yes, some way, because I mean, gosh,
God
you hear
forbid.
these crazy stories of people getting in car accidents and dogs go flinging out the car or getting lost because it was terrified, and everything. So just you gotta find a way to tether her to the car so that.
Yeah, no, that I definitely need to look. We just don't drive like ever. It's like once a year if. So, but you're right. I should get something that locks.
But you know what you can use for vomiting? There's a drug that's by Zoetis. It's called Serenia.
I'm gonna write that down. Serenia.
Serinia. Wait.
Okay.
Yes. Serinia. Serenia. That's a drug that you can use. It's in a sense almost like a Dramamine to prevent motion sickness and vomiting. So that's what it's gonna do.
That's amazing. Thank you. I mean, to the point of, I guess, again, I knock on wood, I've never been in a car accident. I think it's also because I rarely am in a car. But I know there's obviously airbags in the front of the car. And that was my reasoning for sitting in the back, because if it was in my lap,
Smart.
So that's my backseat driver. So my husband's our chaperone, basically. That's how it feels. But I think if you're right, I definitely, if I'm going to have her in my lap, she still needs to have some sort of hooked up.
Yes, just to play it safe.
Situation. The other thing, and I'm sure you'll agree with this too, I think that's really important, is you really need to think about where, like, even if you don't need to go to the restroom for, let's say your drive is 2-3 hours, you should at least find a place where there's grass or somewhere you can pull off safely to allow your dog to also alleviate themselves and drink water and things like that. So we do that too.
Definitely. And just be careful, hoping and praying when you travel too with her. She's on something for flea and tick prevention, so there's no chance of, say, when you're out, no ticks or anything getting on her, because depending on where you go to, there's different diseases. Lyme disease might be more prominent in certain areas than others, so just keep her.
Oh yeah, she's on Simparica.
Good. Oh, good.
Jamie, when you, if you guys do try the Zoetis stuff for heart sickness, please let us know how that is. Dr. Bryant is a friend to Zoetis, and we would love, to hear from a real pet parent about how that went. So please let us know.
Car next, I genuinely don't know when I'll be in the car next, but when I am in the car, I'll order it. And
see if you can get some of that. That's going to be a big help for you. It's a very common and a very good product to use to prevent motion sickness and vomiting in dogs.
So with CBD, we typically would give that to her, like, I don't know, an hour before the drive. With Serenia, how far ahead of the car arrives?
Time frame, good 30 minutes to an hour before you start.
Okay. Good tip. Yeah.
And then also, if you can have the dog out of the crate, but you want to look for dog seat belts. And two good brands are Sleepy Pod as well as Sherpa. So both of those brands have crates, but they also have dog seat belts that are very good too.
That's amazing. I'm just imagining my dog like this with like her seatbelt on, and it's just like.
No, that's a good thought. You're very visual.
Yeah, well, with the Matrix and then
the very visual. That's good. That's good. Hey, I'm sorry I misspelled Serenia. I put it in a chat there. It's C-E-N-I-A.
Now you also spoke that you take your dog by train. Can you tell us about that as well?
Yes. Well, first I have to say, so I live in Manhattan, and I live in the financial district, which is the very bottom of the island. And all my friends tease me because they say you're so far, because technically I'm far from everyone else because everyone else is up and up. So I'm on the subway all the time, and it's very easy because we're on the bottom of the island. I can go to the east side or the west side very easily. And oddly, Lucy loves the subway. I don't know what it is. Every time I'm walking her and there's a subway station, she's like, "Can we go?" Like, she like walks towards the stairs. I'm like, "No, we're not going today." And it breaks my heart. And I think part of the reason every time we get on the subway, it's always an adventure. We're going somewhere, whether it's to my girlfriend's or a park or a new place. And it's funny. I mean, luckily the times I go, it's not too crowded. And I think she just likes the rhythm of the train. It's a very soft back and forth for the car. Sometimes it's like this, or it's like, so.
Look, I'm gonna say New York City driving. What do you expect of me to, so.
And I got my license here, so yeah, it's crazy. When I was doing the driving test, it was just like this. But no, Amtrak is definitely more of a production because it's a longer period of time. And what's difficult about it, unlike the cars, you can't just get out to relieve her because obviously each stop is like a minute, 2 minutes. Right. It's not like you can hop out and come back in. And with Amtrak, they're very strict in that you have to keep the dog in the whole time. So you had made a comment, I think, at the top of the call or the Facebook Live about getting your dog comfortable with the bag. And we've left our bag out that we put her in. And sometimes out of nowhere, she'll just get in. And just knowing that, like, it's her decision, right? It's her, reason for going in there. And I think from my understanding, dogs love confined spaces to an extent. As long as you make it cozy. So it has like a little, like the Sherpa lining and everything. So when we go on the train, getting her in is a little bit tricky because I think she can tell we're a little stressed because we're like, okay, it's train time. Like, got to get in the bag. But once she's in there, we've been on train rides for 4 hours visiting my husband's family or one in Virginia or Boston. And I'm not kidding. People, we take her out when they see us on the platform leaving, and they're like, you had a dog this whole time? Like, CBD, chilling out. She's just, loves the train. I think if she could have a job, she'd have a little conductor hat and like just be.
See, that's a nice visual right there too. That's good. That's a nice visual.
Is there special preparations for the train as compared, like that is different or the same as a car?
Honestly, the car is worse for her because I think when she was little, we took the car more because with COVID, like we avoided the subway and trains like no other. And she just would get sick and nauseous, and the train, she just doesn't. And the subway, like I said, she like loves like that. Like I think dog park, eating grass and like food off the street, which is like, especially in New York, there's like chicken bones everywhere. It's like a chicken bone party. But no, the car is definitely the prep one. We have to really be conscious about like putting her in the right seat, the towels, the CBD, and now I'm going to try Selena. And the train, I don't know. She's a train girl.
Okay, great. Are there any other modes of transportation that Lucy gets to go on?
If me carrying her counts as one, yes.
Backtrack for a quick second. Are there specific requirements to have dogs going in on the subway in New York City?
Yes, they are meant to be in a bag. I don't know if you've ever seen those really funny videos of do you know the IKEA bag?
Yes.
The really big blue one. So people with their big dogs. I mean, Lucy's, I call her like S/M, but like, XL dog. They cut the holes out of the bottom so the dog's limbs are like sticking out, and it's like it looks like a puppet almost. It's crazy. Or I'm sure you've seen the famous backpack. But yeah, they're in the subway. She's meant to be in a bag.
So once you get into the subway itself, they have to be in a bag. But of course, everywhere else they can walk.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. So when you say bag, you're talking about a carrier, correct?
Yes. I'm going to admit I'm not always the best about it.
Some of them, I don't know if you've seen some of these photos on TikToks or whatever, but I mean, seriously, an IKEA bag, the reusable bags.
Yeah.
Them, and they'll have them up on that. And so the dog's legs are hanging down, and they'll have them in the bag.
Yeah.
So, not
your nice Sherpa bag from Gail Mars. Nothing nice like that. No, this is makeshift pet care.
That's what I was like. Wait a minute, you're cutting a hole in.
Yeah. Just imagine all their 4 limbs coming through, and then they're like.
That's crazy. Hysterical. Yeah. Only in New York.
Oh, yeah, you'd be surprised all the different things we see in New York with the dogs. They're very creative. They're very creative.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I know we cannot let you go. We forgot to ask this before, but please, what is the Be the Go-To program.
Yes, thank you. Oh, I'm so excited to share it. So it is a course, community, and coaching program for pet entrepreneurs, whether you have a product or a service. So once you go through it, it is 6 months of the coaching and the community, but the pre-recorded lessons that you learn, you have for life. And most people, when they start, don't know what they're doing when it comes to marketing. And by the end of it, they enjoy marketing. It doesn't take as much time. They know how to build community and monetize it, as well as we mentioned earlier, getting press. So I always say, if you want to learn something on your own, you can scrap together blogs and YouTube videos, but all of that free content, those people are likely trying to monetize as well. So they're not going to give away the whole kit and caboodle, right? That's why if you want to skip the line from trying to figure it out on your own, trial and error, piecing these things together, taking most people years to figure out, you'll learn this in 3 months. So 3 months or years, right? So the lessons take 3 months, but the community and coaching, I do 6 months, because once you complete the lessons, if you do it within the 3 months, people still want their handhold, and my success is their success. So I'm there to answer questions. We do coaching calls twice a week where they can ask anything they want when it comes to business or marketing, and I answer. I've gone line by line with content. I've gone line by line with emails, like you name it. And then the community is really special. People can drop their questions, network with other pet businesses, which is great with collaborations. I've had multiple pet businesses collaborate. One of my favorites was one of my businesses was a dog accessories company, and she partnered with 2 trainers to create bandanas that helped educate other pet parents, like maybe this dog's not a good dog to pet, or how to best approach the dog. It was just really amazing, because there's not many spaces I find, or maybe I haven't found them, where pet businesses can really come to collaborate, and it's just really special to see, as they're also learning together. So they buddy up and, ask them questions. So it's just a really great experience. And by the end of it, they don't need to hire someone to do their marketing. They know what they're doing. And it's just been a really great program, and so much success has come out of it. So yeah, that's the program.
Do you have events where you all can network together?
So basically every Tuesday and Wednesday, I do 1 hour group coaching calls, and during that time they network and talk. But I also have open office hours as well for the public. So I typically do it once a month. I didn't do it this month because I had my honeymoon, but I'm going to be starting it again next month, where anyone that's not even in the program can come network and ask questions, so they can kind of get a taste of what it's like to be in the program as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have your information up, which is your website and your social media. So if people want to be a part of your program, do you want them to go, is it going to your website and signing up, or do they join you on your social media? How would somebody join you?
I always say I want to make sure it's the right fit for them. So if they want to, honestly, I think DM, it's just so much easier. So if they want to DM me at the handle below and say, hey, I heard about your program from When Pets Fly or anywhere else, feel free. And I'll just ask a few questions, because I really want to make sure it's right for them. And then we'll get them signed up.
Sounds good. Dr. Bryant, do you have anything else for our Bee Spotted founder?
I think it was very nice meeting you, Jamie. I think you're outstanding. What you're doing is outstanding, and just trying to connect folks. I'm interested in the program. I mean, there's a lot I still need to learn. And to be honest with you, I feel like we're winging it, but I guess we're doing well. But we're winging it. I'm just really honestly just trying to connect everybody together.
100%. Well, we should, Dr. Nelva and Greta, we should all hop on a call later after this and talk more, because I want to, maybe let's make sure it's right for you as well. But this has been so much fun, and I've learned so much. I have a new magic drug that's hopefully going to help my dog.
It's going to definitely help.
Car sickness, and I will, next time I travel in the car, I will tag you guys.
Definitely.
And we'll have a little her seatbelt.
Good.
But yes, thank you so much. This has been great.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here. All right, that's all we got for today. Anything you want to? What's going on for our next? When's our next one, Greta? When are we next?
Not till next month.
Next month.
next month.
Right, that's right, because I'm going to be traveling all over the place. That's right. But
Yep, you're going to be with the USDA in a week or two, and then we don't have our next guest until September.
Yeah.
Actually, on September the 1st, we're going to have Scott Williams from Pet Express, which is a
That's
pet
good.
transportation company.
See, I'm doing a lot of stuff, Jamie. Thank you, though.
I'm telling you, you're killing it.
It's good to hear from someone who's experienced it. I am doing it right. Didn't know, like I said, didn't know it, but we're just having fun, to be honest with you. And again, introducing folks different with related to pet travel. So
No, you know what it is as well. You're not in it just. I'm hoping you're monetizing this as well, but you're not in it for the money. You're here to help, and that's what's going to help grow because you're so genuine about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. All right. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you
It
both.
was great meeting you, Jamie.
Yep, thanks, Jamie. Bye-bye.
Soon. Bye.
Bye. Let's see.
I clicked.